Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at our Season 3 update for our Altergeist deck. Altergeist is a deck that I'm actually a huge fan of. I don't really get to play it as often as I should. It's kind of like Bird Up for me. I kind of said this in the last video I made about Bird Up, where like I don't get to play this deck as often as I kind of want to because I have so many different decks I'm always wanting to try. But no, I'm a huge fan of Altergeist. I think this deck is a lot of fun. I think if you're going to be playing like a control stun deck, but you don't want to be relying on like floodgates in order to win the game, this is definitely the deck for you. So, I've made a few changes to the deck since I have crafted a few more cards for other decks that in turn has allowed me to upgrade my Altergeist deck a bit here. Most notably, in the main deck, I've added a Terraforming as well as 2 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcaster. For those unfamiliar with this spell, yeah, if you control a Spellcaster, if only you control a Spellcaster, and your opponent does not, then your opponent can't activate spell cards. And if you don't control a Spellcaster, then you can't activate any spells. So, that's really good for us, because obviously we're playing Spellcasters, and even if we don't have a Spellcaster on the field, we're not really playing that many spells. Like, even in the build before this one, the only spells we were playing were 3 Pot of Extravagance. That was literally it. So, the only additional spells we're playing are the secret villages and the terraforming to search for the secret villages. So it's really nice to be able to have this searchable way to shut down your opponent's spells. We are still playing Imperial Order, and there's a couple of reasons for that, right? One of the main reasons is that if we don't control a spellcaster, then we can't shut down our opponent's spells. Like, sure, we could still play our spell, or we're not hurt by not being able to play spells, but we still want to be able to shut down our opponent. So sometimes they'll try to play spells by answering our spellcaster, i.e. our Altergeist monster, and having the Imperial Order as backup is really nice. Also, if they manage to hit the spell, the Secret Village with some backer removal, that does happen occasionally, like with a trap card, and then you can use Imperial Order. I think it might happen in one of these games coming up even. Another reason I still like Imperial Order in the deck is that it's chainable, right? So, you know, with Secret Village up, our opponent just can't play any spells, but that doesn't mean that they're going to lose their spells necessarily. It just means they can't use them for the time being. Whereas Imperial Order, you can chain it to the activation of a key spell card. So not only are they unable to use the spell cards, but then they also lose it as well. So that's why I still like having Imperial Order in the deck, in addition to the Secret Villages. It might not be necessary. I could definitely see a world where it's right to take this out, but for the time being, like I said, I've enjoyed having it in the deck here. So another change, or rather other changes that I have made to the extra deck down here. Oh, you know what? I can actually make a change right now, one that I meant to make earlier, but apparently I did not. So this, oh, hang on. Is it not called Knightmare, did I misspell it? Cerberus, I must have, okay. Yeah, this Crystron Halqifibrax, I mean, yeah, we can use it to get out our Ash and then go into a Knightmare Unicorn, but I think it's definitely more useful to just have a Knightmare Cerberus in the deck here. So yeah, that's obviously a change that I just made to the extra deck. I was running like Selene, and I was running Crystron Halqifibrax because I used to have Selene in here, and I was playing a one of Effect Veiler just to like sometimes get a way into an Access Code combo, but it honestly never comes up. Like, it literally never comes up, so it really wasn't worth the extra deck space to me. So in addition to, obviously, that change we just made with the Knightmare Cerberus, the other changes that we made were, again, I took out the Selene, and I took out one of my 3 Prime Banshees, and I put in the IP Masquerena and Knightmare Unicorn that we crafted for Adamantimators there. It's not very often that you go into this play with Altergeist, but with any Link deck, really, it's nice to have the option to be able to go from the IP into the Knightmare Unicorn like that. Cards I took out of the main deck, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that specifically. Like I mentioned just now, I took out the one of Random Effect Veiler. I took out one of the 3 Torrentials because in an ideal scenario, we have a board, right? And we're gaining advantage by continually adding to our board. So sometimes Torrential isn't that great when you've already got a board established. Torrential is more for breaking a board early in the game or for coming back when you don't have much of a board. So I took one of those out. The other card I took out was my one of Solemn Strike. It just seemed kind of random, and I don't think it's a bad card in this deck, but I would want to play at least 2 copies if I was going to play it. Like, Ideally, I'd drop the 2 Infinite Impermanences for 2 Solemn Strike. I could just play one of each, I suppose, but I kind of don't like playing random one-ofs like that. I'd rather play something that's a bit more consistent, so... Okay, so let's actually go through and list all the cards here, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at some of these games. We're playing 3 Altergeist Meluseek, 1 Altergeist Pookuery, 3 Maxx, 2 Altergeist, excuse me, 2 Altergeist Silquitous, 3 Ash Blossom, 1 Altergeist Multifaker, 3 Altergeist, 3 Altergeist Marionetter, 1 Altergeist Kunquery, 2 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Terraforming, 3 Pot of Extravagance, 2 Secret Village of the Spellcasters, 2 Torrential Tribute, 2 Altergeist Manifestation, 2 Infinite Impermanence, 3 Solemn Judgement, 1 Imperial Order, 2 Altergeist Protocol, and 3 Personal Spoofing. Down here in the extra deck, we've got a Relinquished Anima, Salamangreat Almiraj, 1 Artemis the Magistus Moon Maiden. I will admit this, ideally, this would be a Link Karibo instead. That would be the ideal extra deck spot instead of this Artemis. However, I know I have, you know, a decent amount of Ultra Craft points, but I like being stingy with them. I want to save them, especially because, you know, ideally we're going to be getting more sets coming out here very soon. So I want to save my craft points for new decks. Continuing on with the extra deck, we've got 3 Altergeist Hexstia, the 1 Knightmare Cerberus, 1 Knightmare Unicorn, 1 IP Masquerena, 2 Altergeist Prime Banshee, 1 Knightmare Unicorn, 1 Boreal Sword Dragon. Oh, I didn't mention this earlier. Yeah, I actually pulled, I didn't craft this, but I pulled an Altergeist Memorygant recently, so that was really nice. That's kind of what made me want to, it inspired me to come back to this Altergeist deck. I wanted to anyway, but pulling this was like, okay, now I have a reason to come back to Altergeist, so we were able to add this as well. What did I take out? I think I took out like an Appalachia for this, which I never ever make in this deck, so. And then finally an access code talker. So yep, that is the deck for Altergeist here. Like I said, I really like this deck. It's a very much like control-y, stunny kind of deck, but again, you're not really relying on floodgates. I mean, yeah, sure, you got Secret Village and Imperial Order, but other than floodgates for spells, we're not using like skill drains or rivalry or goes in here. We're instead making a bunch of advantageous trades and negates in order to advance our board state, and that's how we take control of the game. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these games here that I've got selected when I was playtesting this new iteration of the build. Okay, this first game we're going to be taking a look at here is up against Heroes, which is the deck I actually really want to play. But, you know, it costs, like, literally 15 Ultra Rares on top of Staples. Which, I mean, I have Staples, but definitely don't have that many craft points. Not even I have that. So, we're going to go first. We get kind of as an awkward opening hand. I'm just going to set everything and pass. Looking back, I definitely shouldn't have set both these Torrential Tributes. It's going to slightly come up here later where I'm going to have full back rows here. That is something you got to watch here with this deck. Is making sure you don't fill up on your back row slots so that you can like keep setting more and more stuff. It does come up quite a bit. A little bit more often than you think it might, but yeah, our opponent's going to try to play a Fusion Destiny. I've got an Imperial Order, which is going to obviously shut down not only that, but the Dark Calling they have in their hand, as well as probably a good amount of their other cards here. So, yeah, Imperial Order, particularly good against Heroes. Oh, yeah, so I played this Marionetter, but my opponent Maxx in response. Yeah, this is definitely a case where, you know, you should... RTFC is what we used to say. I don't know if people still say that. RTFC, of course, standing for read the fucking card, but... no, I still see plenty of memes about Yu-Gi-Oh! Players not reading cards, so... Yep, I can't deny that the memes do have quite a few roots in reality, so... We got the Marionetters who are able to set up a protocol, in addition to the Imperial Order and now the Silquitous live, is making me feel pretty good about this setup we've got going on here. So yeah, this is where I say the second Torrential being set was not a particularly great idea, because I'm going to flip up my protocol and then bounce the back row with Silquitous. I'm actually not going to activate Marionetter here, so that I can set my Personal Spoofing in order to establish the Multifaker. But obviously now I can't set my protocol, which is, you know, obviously not that great for me. So yeah, I would have liked to have been able to set that here. And really 2 Torrential is not that necessary on turn 1. The odds that you're going to need both to stop your opponent, if you're timing it well, you are not that great. So, and obviously I would have very much liked to protocol this Stratos Search here. or this Ferris effect. So yeah, definitely should not have set both Torrential on turn 1. You want to try to leave some back row spots open. I suppose, to be fair, I hadn't drawn the Marionetter at that point, but still, it's still something I should have considered. Alright, let's see. Our opponent sits a couple back row. I bounced the Ferris back, obviously to protect my monster, but also because, you know, my opponent doesn't have the increase in the spell trap zone, so I don't really care if they put more Vision Heroes back necessarily at this point. And really, with Imperial Order up, even if they are able to make some, you know, plays with Vision Heroes, I mean, I guess, I don't know, I'm not as familiar with new heroes as I would like to be. I mean, I say new heroes, but it's really just heroes now. I say new heroes because last time I played heroes is when Dark Law had just come out, but yeah, I think without spell cards, they're not really able to make that many, you know, plays. They definitely can't access their extra deck, obviously, because it being mostly fusions. Although I know they play some Link monsters, so I suppose they could still do that. Yeah, here our opponent's just going to concede. As they see, I've got full control of the board. I've established the Hexstia negate, as well as enough damage to just attack for game there. So that's a pretty good example of, I was going to say Altergeist, but it was really mostly just Imperial Order locking down the opponent there. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game here. Okay, next game we're going to be looking at is actually against Tri-Brigade Zodiac, so it's always nice to get games in against the Tier 1 deck itself. I don't see it as often as I think I would. I guess I've seen it more this season than I have in past seasons, which kind of baffles me. In Season 2, I feel like I barely played Tri-Brigade Zodiac, against Tri-Brigade Zodiac, rather, like, at all. So, yeah, here we've got our Torrential Personal Spoofing to start off. I'm going to try to set up a Multifaker play, but my opponent's got an Ash, which is unfortunate, but I do at least have my own Maxx and Ash as well as Torrential, so I'm not, like, too scared. Our opponent's going to Harpy's Feather Duster, which again is unfortunate, but I do still have the Ash and Maxx. Not going to Ash to Tenki, because I figure it's probably Tri-Zoo, and I'd rather Ash to Fractal. It is, so we're going to go ahead and do that here. Opponent's going to follow up with a Kairos, but of course I have the Maxx as well, so I'm sure my opponent's thinking like, oh, my opponent just has like everything. And yeah, I guess in this case I did just kind of have everything. Although to be fair, I'm Maxxing, you know, I kind of have to rely on Maxx at this point. Opponent's going to go for a Bare Bone play anyway, and go into a Rugal here, searching the Revolt. I draw a Marionetter, Personal Spoofing, and Solemn Judgement, which is a great 3 cards to draw here. And opponent's obviously going to set the, what we know to be Revolt, and then pass. Although I will note, and I noted this during the game itself too, that I don't know if my opponent knows that they can't summon an Omen here or not, but yeah, since they summoned this Bearbrum off of the Revolt's effect, it wasn't properly Link summoned, which means it can't be brought back from the graveyard by card effects. That doesn't work, so our opponent's still got 1 Kairos engrave and 2 Fractals banished, so they can't actually make an Omen right now. And I've seen comments asking like, hey, sometimes I can't make 4 monsters with Revolt. Why is that? It's probably because you're in a similar scenario to this, where you've got you know, the 3 Tri-Brigade effect monsters, and then the Link monster you use to go into the Rugal here. But yeah, you can't use the Bearbrum or any Link monster if it wasn't properly Link summoned first. Just wanted to point that out here. So knowing that, I'm definitely not scared of my opponent's setup at all. Like, I know an Omen can't come down, so they can only make another Farajit or Race Filgar is what I assume they're going to go for here. But I think they actually end up playing a second Rugal of all things. Yeah, I'm going to summon Meluseek, and it actually took me a while to figure out what I wanted to destroy here. I thought about it for a while. Obviously, I don't want to take out the Rugal, because then Revolt is live for Omen, so definitely don't want to destroy Rugal here. I thought about trying to target Revolt to force it here, but I thought my opponent might flip it up anyway. And if they bounce Kairos back and then flip Revolt, they can reload the grave and get plays with Kairos. So I'm just going to go ahead and destroy Kairos with Meluseek, or send, rather, Kairos with Meluseek. Because Meluseek does not destroy monsters, it just sends them to the graveyard. I'm going to link away Meluseek in order to summon my Artemis here to get a search off of Meluseek. Again, in an ideal world, this Artemis would be a Link Kuriboh, would be a bit better because it offers at least some, you know, kind of battle protection. But it's not that big of a deal. Like, the deck is definitely still playable without Link Kuriboh. And since our opponent did flip the Revolt, we still get another... Or no, wait, we're not under Maxx C still. I don't know why I thought we got a Maxx C draw there, but... Anyway, yeah, during the standby phase, we're going to flip Personal Spoofing and then set up the Multifaker play. Personal Spoofing, for those who don't know, if you flip it and then use it to search for Multifaker, you can special summon the Multifaker you just flipped as long as you have just activated that Personal Spoofing, flipped it face up. Yeah, opponent's going to Thoroughblade. I'll let them go into Borbo before Solemning just to, you know, get it out of the way. And also definitely want to Solemn that. Definitely do not want them to establish a Zeus here. They're going to try to attack my Artemis, but fortunately I searched Kunquery earlier. I think I searched it anyway. I might have just drawn it, but either way we do have a Kunquery, so we're able to stop the attack there. And also negate Rugal's effect here as well. Yeah, opponent's not going to be able to resolve it there. Yeah, from there we're going to go ahead and normal summon a Marionetter. I'll set up a Protocol, and then I was going to go into some Link plays, just go into Access Code. Just having the Protocol as backup, I don't know, but there's nothing they could do, but, I mean, opponent sees the writing on the wall right there, so that's going to be it for them there. So let that be a lesson not only against, obviously, playing this deck against Trizu, but also in using your Revolt wisely. We want to make sure that we're able to summon Omen off of it, and make sure that you set up your graveyard appropriately before you try to set up into an Omen, or into a Revolt for Omen there. Okay, I've got one more game. Let's go ahead and take a look at it here. Alrighty, last game I've got to show for you guys today is actually going to be against, I think it's actually somebody who's doing kind of the same thing I did with the True Budget True King deck, where they're only playing normals and rares, but it's going to be some kind of True King variant either way. So yeah, it'll be a stun deck versus a stun deck. It'll be a veritable stun matchup here. So we open the Terraforming. I'm going to go ahead and establish the Secret Village, of course, as well as the Protocol and the Imperial Order Manifestation as well. So that way we have Spell Negates, we have Monster Negates, we have Resurrection, and we have backup Spell Negates as well. I'm going to go into Hexstia here for some potential negates for trap effects as well. Now, I do make a minor mistake here coming up, where I should have flipped my Manifestation a lot earlier. Like, I should have flipped it during the draw phase, like I would a Personal Spoofing, in order to set up the trap negate. I just didn't think my opponent was going to have a trap card, like a trap effect to use against me, but lo and behold they do, so unfortunately we do lose our Hexstia. That at least allows us to search our Multifaker though, so we can flip it up and establish it here. But yeah, because I didn't even think about it like during the game. I was like, maybe I should flip up Manifestation standby phase here, but then I thought, there's no need to do that. Like, the only thing they can do is trap effects, and what are they going to do? Like, Imperm? That's fine. But it ended up not being fine, so oh well, we live and we learn. We get a nice little chain here as we try to bounce back our opponent's Majesty Maiden. They're going to try to get the Search. We're definitely going to want to negate that with Protocol. As we remember from our experience playing this game, if we're able to cut off their access to monsters, and this deck has a harder time actually getting a foothold, they do have another True King's Return here. Excuse me. So they are able to actually get back their Majesty Maiden, and then they're able to go into Drieth III here, which is why I think this might be a normal and rare only deck, because I don't think most True King decks actually play Drieth III. I think usually you want to play Dynamite over it instead. Well, you definitely want to play Dynamite, but I don't think they usually play Drieth III. But in any case here, I'm going to flip up the Manifestation, get back the Multifaker, summon a Silquitous. We can go ahead and bounce the Multifaker back with the Silquitous here. Then with Personal Spoofing, I can search Kunquery, but I again made a little bit of a mistake here. Kunquery can only be used when the opponent declares an attack, so that's why I wasn't able to chain it there. Again, I should have used my Personal Spoofing. I should have used my trap card a little bit sooner than I did. So, yeah, little minor mistake on my part, but with the Silquitous being destroyed, we do get the Manifestation back, so there's at least that. And yeah, now that we don't have a spell on the board, or a spellcaster on the board, our opponent's able to activate their spells. They've got a Summon Breaker or Dimensional Fissure, which is a little bit annoying, but yeah, so one thing to note is that these spells are going to be live here now that the Imperial Order is destroyed. I was a little bit early on that, but Yeah, our opponent is able to destroy the Imperial Order, and Secret Village only prevents spells from being activated. It does not negate them. So the Summon Breaker and the Dimensional Fissure are going to be live, which is going to be a little bit annoying, but ultimately not a huge deal. I do fall under the Summon Breaker here because I actually, you know, made the mistake of thinking like, wait, isn't it negated because of Secret Village? And then I realized, no, Secret Village says they can't activate spells, but yeah, it does not negate the effects of spells that are already on the field. So definitely make sure you're watching out for that if you're playing this variant, or you're playing Secret Village maybe in another deck. Yeah, so here I'm going to flip up the Manifestation during my opponent's battle phase in order to save my own monsters. Opponent's going to try to get the Joyous III search, but I'm going to have the Altergeist Protocol here already set up in order to prevent that. And now that it's banished with Dimensional Fissure, I know for sure that it's not coming back, which is especially nice. So I end up not eating this Kunquery. I'll go ahead and put it back for a Meluseek. And obviously I'm going to summon this Meluseek and then use it in order to attack. My opponent's got a Fiendish Shade, which is pretty annoying. I'm just going to go ahead and link away here for another Hexstia. Since they got banished because of Dimensional Fissure, I'm not going to get the search, which is a little bit irritating, but not that big of a deal ultimately. Yeah, so kind of learning from my mistake last time, I'm going to flip up Manifestation during the standby phase here. I'm going to get back the other Hexstia. I don't think it particularly mattered what I got back here, but with getting the other Hexstia, I can actually set up 2 Hexstia negates potentially. Not that I need them, but, you know, they're there. So I'll also use the Personal Spoofing to search a Kunquery in case my opponent decides to try to, you know, attack or try anything funny here. They realize they can't do anything, so they're just going to pass back to me. We get to switch the Meluseek to attack mode, summon the Marionetter, set up another Protocol, not that we're going to need it. Moving into the battle phase, I'm just going to attack with Meluseek and pop the Majesty Maiden, and then smack my opponent with all my other stuff. I might have been able to go for a game here, actually. I don't know, I thought about going into access code. Oh, that would have just worked, wouldn't it? 53 plus 20. No, that wouldn't have been enough. Okay, I think I might have done that math earlier. I should have searched something other than Meluseek, honestly. That probably would have been enough. Because I don't think I used Multifaker. No, I did use Multifaker this turn, so I couldn't have gone into an access code. That's why I didn't do it. But it doesn't matter either way. We're able to secure the win shortly afterward either way. So, yep, just another good example of Altergeist main game plan, which is just slowly gain advantage over the opponent over time by, again, making profitable negates, negating cards that use multiple resources or would set up, you know, give our opponents advantage by denying cards like that, and also gaining advantage through our own abilities like Meluseek, like Multifaker, like Marionetter. We're able to, you know, set up a board where we've got a lot of cards and they've got pretty much nothing. You see, that works even against other stun decks, so. Okay, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Thank you for joining me as we look back at the Altergeist deck. I know this isn't one of like the more like popular decks I've uploaded, but like I said, I really like it a lot. So, yeah, I wanted to come back and just show it off and show what I've been working on and all that fun stuff. As always, thank you for watching, especially the end. I super duper appreciate it. I know a lot of you guys like the live duel format as opposed to like the replay format. Rest assured that there are more live duels on the way. It's just with my schedule at this current point in time, I haven't had as much time as I need to be able to record a lot of quality live games. So that's why I've kind of been using a bit more replay videos. But yeah, like I said, don't worry. I'm going to be making time in the near future to try to get some good live games in for you. So yep, thank you for watching. Like I said, as always, I super duper appreciate it. I appreciate it even more if you're commenting and subscribing as well, but even if you're just watching, that's totally fine too. I'm just glad that you're here, honestly. Yep, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. This is Hexslex, wishing you a fantastic day.